Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you like knives, you surely know the name Randall Made, and we've got a decent little selection here. We're going to talk about the knives, a little bit of the history. Let's do it. So, go. You're really passionate about this one, so why don't you lead us in with that guy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Randall makes many knives, and you expect them to be all hard bush survival knives, like hunting,
fighting knives,
knives, killing people, and then they make this thing right here, which on first glance is something pretty basic.
It looks like almost like they're bird and trout style. With
Yeah.
It's basically like the fisherman.
It looks like they're fishermen. Yeah. And then you look up the Model 6 on their website, and it brings you to a cutlery set, and you're like, what the hell? And you dial down, and the Model 6, this is their steak knife.
Yep.
So you
A
pull
Randall personal steak knife.
Yeah, you pull this out at a restaurant. I mean, this is just swagger all the way.
Yeah, all day.
Nothing but. You cutting your Wagyu steak with something like this, you're winning. You're winning in every way.
That just screams, I bought the most expensive pair of Carhartts I could find.
Right.
Well, what else do we have here? We got this bad boy.
That's a, okay. Remind me of the details. Do you know the details?
I do know the details.
Ah, good, because I've been told the details 3 times. I just found out we had this. I just found out the details.
What are the deets?
30 minutes ago, and I do not remember them.
So it's now defunct, but for a long time there was the Randall Knife Society, and they would release special knives for these people to purchase. This is the 3rd version, so the RKS3 from 1997. And this thing is pretty fucking sweet.
It is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's badass.
It almost looks like their fisherman's knife, but like souped up.
Well, I mean, that's a kind of a common theme. That's why I said it looks like a bird and trout. It's kind of a common theme. That, like you mentioned earlier, like almost the Skagel style. Yep. You know what I mean? But like with a slightly different grind. But that's a pretty rare bird. As shown by the pommel there. It's a pretty rare bird. That's a pretty nice. It's a pretty nice example.
It's in pretty ridiculous condition too.
Yeah,
Sheath as well.
Yeah,
I mean, been well kept.
It's
not even a mark.
You can see a little. It's been sheathed a couple of times, but I mean, there's not even there's
no wear on the inside of the rough.
Yeah, even the tip is really in good shape. The backside, it doesn't look like it's been rubbing on somebody's pants for a year and a half. I mean, even all the stitching is still white.
Yeah, no, that got safe cleaned.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Which, as it should have been. It's probably worth a pretty penny right now. RKS 556 out of 3,116.
So that, I'm not exactly sure what that number denotes because I was doing research on it today. That's not the number that were made.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like number 558.
Could be your member number.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it could be.
But how cool is it to have number 556?
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Got the NATO round.
Okay, that's it. Now I gotta get it.
That's not quite as rare. Well, wait, should we save this one?
Yes, that one last. Let's do this guy.
All right.
We'll let you do this one, Alistair.
Yeah,
I did that one too.
Well, you can do this one too.
Well, we liked the way you did it, so maybe you should do more of them. Right?
Also, I noticed a lot of them come with a sharpening stone. Is it a decent quality sharpening stone? I assume so.
Honestly, I've never used it. I don't know anybody that has used it because it diminishes the value of the knife. So I couldn't honestly tell you.
This is one of Randall's survival knives. So you got your hollow handle, saw back.
This is a classic, been around.
Yeah.
Model 18. Survival attack. No, attack survival. It's meant to stab fuckers and survive.
How are you going to get it
Vietnam era though, right?
Yeah.
This design was Vietnam.
As far as
era.
I know, yeah. But if you stab somebody, how are you getting it out?
Well, you're going to tear it out.
It's just going to tear. Yeah.
You're just going to have to. It's a gift knife. Like I guess that's yours now.
Yeah, right. You got your hollow handle. You got a compass in the cap.
Oh, holy cow! You do have a compass in the cap. It's actually a decent compass. It's actually working.
Is there something in there?
That is no. Well, it's a hell of a lot shallower than you would think because it's epoxied. So it's a hell of a lot shallower than you would think. And I was like, wait a minute, did someone stuff something in there? I just wanted to double check. But yeah, compass in the cap. That's a mainstay. But
that surprised the hell out of me. I was like, oh my god, there's a compass in the cap?
And we were saying this beforehand too. This knife is often duplicated. There have been many variations of this made by even Lyle you mentioned. All right. Is there something?
Chris
All right.
Reeve.
There you go.
Jesus. Okay. But
What makes...
Does that have a rubber O-ring in it?
Yeah.
It does.
It does.
All
So
waterproof.
before we get to the last one, what specifically makes Randall Made special? What's all big about them?
Cachet. Huge cachet.
Well, I mean, they've been using 01 back before 01 was, had the respect and what it did now. So I mean, back before they were doing even the stainless models when they were doing the high carbon only, it was, dude, 01 was untouchable. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's where they get their reputation for the amount of punishment they'll take and everything. And so when they did finally come out with the stainless models, the stainless, they do. The performance-wise, they don't hold up to the 01, but few stainlesses do aside from the modern stuff.
440B, I think, right, for their stainless.
Is it 440B? Yeah, 440B or 440A or 440B, one of the two. Somebody will tear us apart and tell us the truth, but.
And then I think
we're fully admitting that we are not Randall experts. We're trying.
I believe they were founded in the late 30s, and then they kind of made a bit of a name in World War II with GIs. Leaving their home state with
Korea
custom knives from them.
Yeah.
And Korea
and then
War.
huge hit their stride in Vietnam. Because they had earned their reputation previous to, and then when Vietnam came around, it was like, everybody better have a Randall because obviously they're war proven and they're tough as nails. And now they've gotten into the, now they just look pretty, Well, I mean, not just look pretty, but they also look pretty, right?
They look pretty.
But they've got super clean grinds. They've got beautiful craftsmanship, and they have a countdown timer on the header of their website that gives the current back order time, which is
like 5 years.
It's just shy of 5 years. Last time I checked it, it was 4 years 9 months. Last time I checked it, and it counts down like it's got a ticker on it. Yeah. Which is super impressive that someone can have a backlog like that and it just doesn't matter there.
Especially if they're like they're that exact about it. You know what I mean? They're like, this
exactly.
is the exact fucking second. This is gonna fucking.
Well, in fact, there's a local guy who is actually a Randall dealer, which is super hard to be because they're obviously not taking on dealers. They need no reason to. But the thing is about being a Randall dealer is you don't get wholesale pricing. That's not how it works.
You just get knives.
You get to jump the line for 30 knives a year, and that's how you become a dealer for Randall. So you pay full boat, but you get 30 knives a year, and you get to jump the line. Which is why they don't take on dealers, because they have enough, right?
Right.
So there's a guy local who has like probably 600 Randalls. He's contacted us a couple of times before, and he's like, hey, you want to buy some Randalls? It's like, no, because I know I'm going to have to pay full retail, and then I don't want to be the asshole that goes online and is charging full, over full retail for them. It just, it's not kind of my style. I don't like doing that. But to be a collector and to have that access, it's got to be, priceless. We've had some really cool stuff in, and I've always liked Randalls, but just the difficulty of attaining them has kind of soured me on them a little bit.
It's understandable.
Yeah. It's not because.
Now, most of their lineup is the same that it's been for decades.
Oh, we have a pamphlet we refer to that's from like 2004, and it's like still perfectly relevant. Like you go to their website and it's like, no, these are all. It's like very little has changed. And it's because they have such a backlog that you can't change shit up about. Because you discontinue something, well, you probably have 20,000 people on that waiting list.
They also don't have to change.
Yeah, they don't have to change anything.
Exactly.
You got 20,000 people waiting on a knife. Why would you discontinue it?
But then you have the thing where you have like a vintage.
Yeah, that's
Randall.
true. Yeah.
The price on that would be higher than what you would probably pay for a currently manufactured one.
Yeah, for sure.
Simply because of the cachet of the name and the era that it was created in.
Yeah, but our only problem with the dealer status thing is that I don't want a knife built last year and then this year I'm charging more for it. Like if I have a vintage, rare, well taken care of Survivor, Safe Queen, something like that, like that commands a little bit of respect. Whereas, I don't know, if I just got it last week and I'm just jacking the price and putting it on the website, that just kind of makes me a dick. So that's the only reason we haven't done it, even though we've had the access.
And then someone explained to me today that all the Randalls are completely handmade.
I don't know that I'd say completely. If
machine Erling.
Yeah, and if these grinds are handmade, I'd be pretty impressed. But it wouldn't surprise me to find out this knurling this has got to be lathe. or CNC, right?
It's
gotta be,
lathe.
right?
Yeah, that's machine.
But I mean, fit and finish, it wouldn't surprise me, and especially the natural handles. Like, I mean, there's no lathe or machine is like really doing that because you have a really unorthodox piece of antler you've got to fit to this thing. So anything with a natural handle, that wouldn't surprise me at all. To find out these 3 were handmade wouldn't surprise me at all. To find out this is handmade, I'm kind of calling bullshit because not completely, but nobody's knurling that by hand for the kind of money you can.
No, and I mean, you just turn it on a lathe and it's got a little piece that you push onto it and it cuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a programmed run and, you know.
Well, no, this is actually pushed in with it's a little die. It's 2-wheel die that you push on it with a lathe, and it just pushes up against and it impresses the mark.
Well, if you know more about lathing than I do.
If you have a piece of steel in it to keep it from compressing it down.
Yeah, for sure.
What's this last knife we got on the table here, Mike? Look at that.
Rough ass shape.
Yeah, look at that.
But it is also a rough back and a rough back sheath, and it is this is pre Randall Made sheath. So this is what did we say? Pre 45?
Yeah.
Possibly pre 40. But as you can see, it has.
This would have been made by the founder and his apprentices.
It's seen some shit too. Yeah. So unfortunately, someone has decided to sharpen it with a Dremel. Looks like probably multiple times, on both sides. The flats, even though this is, this is a high carbon, but it has not been taken care of all that great. The good news is it is salvageable. The bad news is there's some dude's name in it. So we just recently acquired this, and it's ultra rare. We're going to do everything we can do to restore it to its former glory. So we are going to take out as much of this damage as we can without modifying the overall aesthetic and look of the knife. You can see the original grind back here. So we're going to try to match this original grind and drag it out as much as we can on both sides. And then we're also going to have to touch the flats, but it's all going to have to be hand done because we're obviously not going to desolder it and take this thing. We're not going to push out a pin and take this apart. This is all going to have to be done up to the hilt, and it's going to have to be a nice blend at the ricasso. So this is going to be a full by hand restoration that is going to be ungodly time consuming. But because it's a Randall and because of its age and because of its rarity, it will be worth it because this knife could potentially be worth, well north of $1,000. So putting the money into it is worth it, and it's kind of a cool knife, and it's unfortunately it's right-handed only, so not for you.
Actually, I don't mind it in the left hand, to be honest.
Really?
I really don't. Yeah, you got to hold it a little bit differently. But
That's right, huh?
It's actually not that bad.
I see. If you roll it around a little bit, that's not bad. All right, I can see that.
I like the indexing they did on the Stag. Possibly
Samber.
Yeah.
So I've noticed on their newer knives they don't do indexing so much. They just go with the rustic look. I wish they still did this hardcore indexing.
The only reason they stopped is it causes hot spotting when you're working with it a lot, so it kind of rubs on you a little bit. Like the Fireman, they make the Fireman, which has got super deep finger grooves in it. And that thing is like, if you, I guess it's why they call it the Fireman, because you have gloves on and you're really wrenching on it, doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You're not, but.
I don't mind indexing, but that's your spot with index handle, and that's all you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if it was me and I had to stab a motherfucker, I'd like really aggressive indexing so I can get it back.
Well, and I also like the top grind because you can get it back, whereas this, they get to keep it. And if they survive, they can sell it for $900 and put it towards their medical bills.
Put a longer lanyard
or their lawyer if they find you.
Lanyard on it and just yard it out.
Oh, Jesus! That's the most brutal and brilliant thing I've ever heard.
Oh, that's a
yank it out.
Get a little bit of slack and
get it in your hand, give it one wrap, and then fucking
yard it.
I can feel that.
Yeah.
Well, my rib hurt.